Hi, in this lecture we are going to see some of the basic terminology. Okay, this is very important because once you understand the terminology, you can connect to it and learn things better. Okay, let's get started with that. So the first thing that you will see in a probability is called a random experiment. So what is a random experiment? A random experiment is basically something which has more than one possibilities and you cannot predict what's going to happen. Okay, so I will give you some examples. So just listen to this now. I am going to give you detailed example on it. Okay, so that's a random experiment. So as I told, it has more than one outcome and we do not know what's going to happen. Basically, we cannot predict. Okay, so that's a random experiment. If you can predict things, then it's not a random experiment, right? Okay, the next terminology is outcome. So anything happens with a random experiment, that is a outcome. If I toss a coin, either it will be a head, that's a outcome, or it will be a tail, that's also a outcome. Okay, so based on the outcome, I can say that either these are exhaustive cases. Exhaustive cases means you consider all possibilities of a random experiment. So once you do an experiment, if you are considering all possibilities, it is called a exhaustive cases, or simply remember sample space. Okay, I'll be keep using this term in whole of this lecture. Okay, then another thing is called favorable cases. Favorable cases means what you want, or as part of the question, what is required, that is favorable cases. Okay, I'll give you example. Absolutely do not worry, I am going to give you example, and any point of time you have a question, please fire it to me. I'm here to help you out. I want to make sure you understand probability properly. So do not worry at any point of time. If you have any questions, please let me know. So going to the examples, so throwing a dice is called a random experiment because it has more than one outcome, right? Once you throw a dice, either you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are all your possibilities. And we do not know what's going to happen, right? Because when you throw a dice, do you know that are you going to get number 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6? No, you can just guess, right? You cannot surely say, yes, I'm going to get number 4 or number 5 or number 6, right? So throwing a dice in that sense become a random experiment. Okay, what's the outcome? Getting a number itself is an outcome. Okay, any number that you get is a outcome of it. So basically when you do any kind of experiment, whatever comes, what may come is a outcome. Okay, then what is the exhaustive cases? Exhaustive cases or sample space in our case is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Because exhaustive cases means what we told, whatever is possible. When you throw a dice, whatever is possible. What is possible when you throw a dice? Either you can get a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or a 4 or a 5 or a 6, right? That is why these are called exhaustive cases, or this is also called a sample space. Okay, so that means all possible outcomes is a exhaustive case or sample space. Okay, now what is my favorable cases? Favorable cases, for example, getting a 6. If in a question I am asking that what is the probability of getting a 6, that means what I'm saying is I want a 6. Okay, tell me what is the probability of getting a 6. Okay, so favorable outcome in this case, as we have taken example, getting a 6 is a favorable case because I want 6. So let's say the question asks, if we throw a dice, what is the probability of getting 5? So in that case, getting 5, it's a favorable outcome, right? You got it? So we discussed about random experiment, what we called a random experiment, which has more than one outcome and we do not know what's going to happen. That means I cannot exactly predict what's going to happen when I do the random experiment. So that is a random experiment, right? Because randomness has to be there. So when we say random experiment, that means if I can predict things, it's no longer random. So we learned about random experiment, which is, as an example you can say, throwing a dice is a random experiment. Outcome means getting a number itself is an outcome. When we throw a dice, as an example, getting a number itself is an outcome. What is the exhaustive case or sample space? Getting all the possible outcome or collecting all possible outcome itself is my sample space. Okay, and what is a favorable case? Favorable outcome or favorable case is getting what you want. Let's say as part of question it asked that what is the possibility or the probability of getting number 6. So 6 is your favorable outcome. Okay, so I hope this is clear, but any point of time if you find something confusing, please put a question. I will get back to you for sure. Okay, here my intention is to make sure you understand probability basics in a very good way. Okay, so please put a question if you have any doubt. Thank you.